everyone. Welcome to Miss B's Book Corner. Today we are going to read a story all about cooking and then something goes wrong. It's called Strega Nona. Now, Strega Nona wears something called an apron, and that's why I have my apron on today, because you use an apron to cook so you don't get all messy. So I hope you enjoy our Strega Nona story, but before we begin, we need to talk about the vocabulary that is in the story. We're going to review that first, and then we will read the story.
Valuable, worth a great deal of money or something that means a lot to a person. So for example, that could be a very expensive car, which is worth a lot of money, an expensive piece of jewelry, which is worth a lot of money, or something that can mean a lot to someone is their family. Potion, a liquid that has healing, magical, or poisonous properties. For example, this could be in a story that maybe a witch makes. A lot of witches make potions. We see that in movies or some of the books that we read. Barricade, a barrier that blocks or prevents going into an area. For example, if there's a construction zone, a lot of the times the construction workers will put up these barricades or gates that will stop you from entering. Compliment, saying nice words to someone else. For example, that could be, I like your shirt, or you're a really nice friend. Remember to listen for the characters in the story, which are people or animals, the setting in the story, which is where the story takes place, the problem in the story, something is wrong or did not go right, the actions, how did we fix the problems, what steps were taken, and the ending, how did the story wrap up or finish. Also listen for the feelings for how the characters are feeling throughout the story.
It's time to read our story, Strega Nona. It's written by Tommy De Paolo. In a town in Calabria, a long time ago, there lived an old lady everyone called Strega Nona, which meant Grandma Witch. Although all the people in town talked about her in whispers, they all went to see her if they had troubles. She could cure a headache with oil and water and a hairpin. She made special potions for the girls who wanted husbands, and she was very good at getting rid of warts. I heard a vocabulary word in there. Can anybody guess what it was? Potions. Tell your adult or brother or sister that's next to you what potions means if you remember. Keep thinking. All right, if you said it's a liquid that has healing, magical, or poisonous properties, you got it. Let's keep going. But Strega Nona was getting old, and she needed someone to help her keep her little house and garden. So she put up a sign in the town square. And Big Anthony, who didn't pay any attention, went to see her. Anthony, said Strega Nona, you must sweep the house and wash the dishes. You must weed the garden and pick the vegetables. You must feed the goat and milk her. And you must fetch the water. For this, I will give you 3 coins and a place to sleep and food to eat. Oh, grazie, said Big Anthony. The one thing you must never do, said Strega Nona, is touch the pasta pot. It is very valuable, and I don't let anyone touch it. Oh, see, yes, said Big Anthony. And so the days went by. Big Anthony did his work, and Strega Nona met with the people who came to see her for headaches and husbands and warts. Big Anthony had a nice bed to sleep in next to the goat shed, and he had food to eat. One evening, when Big Anthony was milking the goat, he heard Strega Nona singing. Peeking in the windows, he saw Strega Nona standing over the pasta pot. I wonder what she's doing. She's saying, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up." And the pasta pot bubbled and boiled and suddenly was filled with steaming hot pasta. Then Strega Nona sang, "Enough, enough, pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot. So simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day."
"How wonderful," said Big Anthony. "That's a magic pot for sure."
And Strega Nona called Big Anthony in for supper. But too bad for Big Anthony, because he didn't get to see Strega Nona blow 3 kisses to the magic pasta pot. And this is what happened. The next day, when Big Anthony went to the town square to fetch the water, he told everyone about the pasta pot. And naturally, everyone laughed at him because it sounded so silly. A pot that cooked all by itself?
"You better go and confess to the priest,
Big Anthony, they said. "Such a lie!" "I'll show them," he said to himself.
"Someday I will get the pasta pot and make it cook, and then they'll be sorry."
That day came sooner than even Big Anthony would have thought, because 2 days later, Strega Nona said to Big Anthony, "Anthony, I must go over the mountain to the next town to see my friend, Strega Amelia. Sweep the house and weed the garden. Feed the goat and milk her, and for your lunch, there are some bread and cheese in the cupboard. And remember, don't touch the pasta pot."
"Oh, yes, yes, Strega Nona,"
said Big Anthony. But inside, he was thinking, my chance has come. Tell your parents or adult or brother or sister what you think is going to happen next. Predict the next part of the story. As soon as Strega Nona was out of sight, Big Anthony went inside, pulled the pasta pot off the shelf, and put it on the floor.
"Now let's see if I can remember the words,"
said Big Anthony. And Big Anthony sang,
"Bubble, bubble, pasta pot. Boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough to fill me up."
And sure enough, the pot bubbled and boiled and began to fill up with pasta.
"Aha!"
said Big Anthony, and he ran to the town square, jumped on the fountain, and shouted,
"Everyone, get forks and plates and platters and bowls. Pasta for all at Strega Nona's house. Big Anthony has made the magic pasta pot work."
Of course, everyone laughed, but ran home to get forks and plates and platters and bowls. And sure enough, when they got to Strega Nona's, the pasta pot was so full, it began to overflow. Uh-oh. This could be a problem. Big Anthony was a hero. He scooped out pasta and filled the plates and platters and bowls. There was more than enough for all the townspeople. And some people came back for 2 and 3 helpings, but the pot was never empty. When all had their fill, Big Anthony sang,
"Enough, enough, my pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot, so simmer down, my pot of clay, until I'm hungry another day."
But alas, he did not blow the 3 kisses. He went outside, and to the applause of the crowd, Big Anthony took a bow. He was so busy listening to complaints from everyone that he didn't notice the pasta pot was still bubbling and boiling. "Oh, Big Anthony, look!" And pasta was pouring out of the pot all over the floor of Strega Nona's house, and it was coming out the door. Big Anthony rushed in and shouted the magic words again, but the pot kept bubbling. He took the pot off the floor, but pasta kept pouring out. Big Anthony grabbed a cover and put it on the pot and sat on it. But the pasta raised the cover and Big Anthony as well, and all spilled out on the floor of Strega Nona's house.
Stop!
yelled Big Anthony, but the pasta did not stop, and if someone hadn't grabbed poor Big Anthony, the pasta would have covered him up. The pasta had all but filled the little house. Out of the windows and through the doors came the pasta, and the pot kept right on bubbling. The townspeople began to worry. Do something, Big Anthony, they shouted. Big Anthony sang the magic song again, but without the 3 kisses, it did no good. By this time, the pasta was on its way down the road, and all the people were running to keep ahead of it.
We must protect our town from the pasta, shouted the mayor. Get mattresses, table, doors, anything to make a barricade.
But even that didn't work. Here's the barricade. The pot kept bubbling and the pasta kept coming. We are lost, said the people, and the priest and the sisters of the covenant began praying. The pasta will cover our town, they cried. And it certainly would have had Strega Nona not come down the road home from her visit. She didn't have to look twice to know what happened. She sang the magic song and blew the 3 kisses, and with a sputter, the pot stopped boiling and the pasta came to a halt. Oh, grazie, grazie. Thank you, Strega Nona, the people cried. But then they turned on poor Big Anthony. String him up, the men of the town shouted. Now wait, said Strega Nona. The punishment must fit the crime. And she took a fork from the lady standing nearby and held it out to Big Anthony. All right, Anthony, you want a pasta from my magic pasta pot, Strega Nona said. And I want to sleep in my little bed tonight. So start eating. And he did. Poor Big Anthony.
Okay, friends, it's time to retell the story. So I'm going to pull this up for you, and then I have some visuals that we could look at to help us pick out the characters, the setting, the problem, the action, and the ending. So let's think about who were the characters in the story. So the characters can be people or animals that were in the story. So I want you to think about that for a second. You can tell your adult that's with you. All right, the characters in the story were Strega Nona, Big Anthony, and the townspeople. So I'm going to put that right here, right up at the top for characters. Our next piece is the setting. Where did the story take place? Take a minute and think about that. The setting was in Calabria, Strega Nona's house, and town square. So I'm going to put that next to the setting. The next part I want you to think about is the problem. What went wrong in the story? What went wrong in the story? Big Anthony does not know the magic actions to stop the pot from overflowing with pasta. So the pasta covered the entire town. That was the big problem. So I'm going to put that right here. The last part that we're going to talk about is the actions and the ending. So the action is how was the problem solved? So take a minute and think about how the problem was solved. The problem was solved because Strega Nona returned and stopped the pasta from coming out of the pot. And the solution
The other part of the solution was that Big Anthony had to eat all of the pasta as his punishment. That would not be very fun. So those are our story parts. So what I want you to do is retell the story using these little pasta noodles to help you. I sent these to your parent or your guardian so that you can cut them out and put them in order yourself. There's 2 other ones that go with it that you could put in order too. Do that and record yourself doing it and send it to me. I'd love to see you guys retelling the story. Have fun doing it too. Act it out if you want, just like we acted out our story during the Halloween time. That was really fun for you. So act it out and have fun while you retell the story to someone. The last thing I want you to do is to tell the person that you're with what your favorite part of the story was, but you have to make sure that you give a reason why. So I'll give you my example of what my favorite part was. My favorite part of the story was when Strega Nona came back and saved the town. What was your favorite part of the story? All right, we're gonna wrap up Miss B's book corner with this activity that you can do with your families. So Strega Nona made pasta in her pasta pot. Make pasta at home with your mom or dad or brother or sister. Make sure it's an adult making it with you, and you can be just like Strega Nona was in the story. Have fun doing that and send me some pictures. I hope I see you next time at Miss B's book corner. Bye!